It's me. It's me. I'm streaming of a White Christmas. The last time we had this thing where Twitch showed us as being offline. It's happening again. I don't know what to do about that as a thing. But it's okay. Not going to worry about it too much. I can see chat when chat happens. I just don't know how many people are watching. It's not telling me that, which is kind of a bummer. So I'm going to go ahead and just throw this tweet out one more time. And then Twitch.tv, Duckfeed.tv with modern. Okay. And all right. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and go into it, similar to last time. It is a fool's errand to try to see if I can fix Twitch. I should check in with Cole and see if he's having this problem when he twitches it up as well. Honestly, I'm not too concerned about it. So yeah, so this is, we wrapped up a fighting fantasy last time, the Undersea Demons there, or what have you. And this episode, I wanted some regular Choose Your Own Adventure books. I'm out of the ones I have. So I went to Powell's City of Books in Portland and bought a few Choose Your Own Adventure books. And I've got 3 of them. I don't think we'll get through all of them today. I suppose it's possible we will. But I just wanted to do some regular Choose Your Own Adventures. Thank you for the Twitch Prime subscription, Precisely Jay. So I got the Abominable Snowman, which is the first one of the new Choose Your Own Adventures when those came back. So Choose Your Own Adventure number 1. And then the ones I'm super excited about is this other new one. This is House of Danger here, which looks pretty wild. Here. And this one, it's kind of cool. They introduced like a map on the back of them. I don't know if it's an actual map. And the one that's the most fun, which I'm probably going to start with here, which also has a map, is Choose Your Own Nightmare, which is a spin-off of Choose Your Own Adventure I did not know about. These came out in... They have worse... 2016. So this is definitely very modern. And this is called Snake Invasion. Pretty cool, I think. And looks pretty wild. The print is cheaper. It actually feels a lot like the print on Souls of Darkness, actually, which was an intentional thing to seem like an old book, but the actual Choose Your Own Adventures I've used since then have had kind of better page quality. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Since I can't tell how many people are watching, when we get to articulation points or choices, just the first person to type in what to do is what we will do, unless I need to editorially override that. Powell had a bunch more of these Choose Your Own Nightmares, which are exciting to me. They're $7, which is not tons of money, but is a lot of money for 20 minutes of stream content, roughly. So I'm waiting for these to go down in price. But I'm glad that I know about them, so I can start looking for them in like thrift stores and stuff. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. I might stop at around 3:55 today. Actually, we're recording a very special secret thing for the network, and I need to be ready for that. So I might need to gruffle some almonds or something before that. This since this is new, this has new kind of testimonials from kids. These books are like games. Sometimes the choice seems like it will solve everything, but you wonder if it's a trap. I think you'd call this book for active readers, and I am definitely an active reader, says Ava Kendrick, age 11. You decide your own fate, but your fate is still a surprise, says Chun Tao Lin. come on in this book if you're crazy enough. One wrong move and you're a goner, says Ben Curley. And you can read Choose Your Own Adventure books so many wonderful ways. You could find your dog or follow a unicorn, says Celia Lawton. All very good points. And you can see all of the new Choose Your Own Adventures. There's 2 other Choose Your Own Nightmare books that this advertises that seem pretty cool. 8th Grade Witch and Blood Island. I'm pretty into both of those things. So let's see what happens with the snake invasion here. Dedicated to Oliver Oporowski, musician, reader, and cool kid. And this is by Doug Willem. Okay. And the beware and warning in the beginning actually has some narrative content. It's not just don't read this book in order. So we will read this. And it also does the Star Wars font kind of coming towards the camera thing. Okay. Beware and warning. This book is different from other books. You and you alone are in charge of what happens in this story. There are dangers, choices, adventures, and consequences. You must use all of your wits and much of your intelligence. The wrong decision could end in disaster, even death. But don't despair. At any time, you can go back and make another choice, alter the path of the story, and change its result. Not true. You and your family have just moved into a brand new neighborhood at the edge of the Florida Everglades. Last week, a guide came to your school to give a talk about the enormous Burmese pythons that are taking over the mysterious wetland, which seems really exciting, until your dog Zelda goes missing. Other pets in the neighborhood have been disappearing lately, and your best guess is that they're becoming something's dinner. You've been told never to step foot in the Everglades. It's full of alligators and ghostly legends, not to mention giant snakes. When you and your best friend Jackson throw caution to the wind, what you find could never have been imagined. Will you make it out of the wetland alive? These pythons have no natural enemies, and they eat almost everything. So this is Anti-Snake, this book. Page 1. There's a pounding on your front door. You're expecting Jackson. He's your friend who comes over to play video games after school. But this isn't a, here I am, power up battle zone sort of knock. This is a fast pounding, open up quick type of knock. It's Jack, and he's breathing hard. He looks panicked, and he's dumped his bike on your lawn. Spotting that, you feel a prickle of worry. Your dad is super strict. If he sees any digs in the grass, he'll get really upset. He keeps saying it's hard enough to keep the lawn alive with the heat and the weird bugs in this brand new neighborhood at the edge of the Everglades, Florida's gigantic, mysterious wetland. But Jackson knocks that worry out of your mind. Breathlessly, he wheezes, "Your dog!" Then he shouts, "Your dog!" These are worse written than old Choose Your Own Adventure books. This is awkward and weird. But the illustration is better. Look at these little units. Now, what? You say? She's in the backyard. Jack shakes his head. He really likes little Zelda. Every time he comes over, he stops by your backyard first to say hello. An invisible fence keeps her in the yard. Zelda likes Jack, too. After he leaves, she always yaps and yaps. You realize something. Zelda isn't yapping. "Dude, she's not there anymore," Jack says. His eyes are wide and scared. "There was this... I couldn't believe it. It was huge." "What was huge?" "The snake!" "Jack," you say, "what happened?" "It's like 10 feet long, I swear," he gasps. "It carried away in its mouth. I think it's going for the water. Come on, we have to stop it before it gets away with her. Come on." You glance backwards towards the kitchen. You and your little sister have an after-school babysitter who drives you crazy. You're way too old for a babysitter. Every afternoon, every other week, when you're with your dad, Juliana is here, making dinner. That's the worst part. She's a nut about weird, healthy food. Here she is now. "What's all this shouting?" Juliana asks. She's munching on a carrot stick, one of her more normal foods. In her hand is a wooden spoon. She's probably been mixing up some lentil, kale, tofu, seafood thing. Nothing. It's nothing," you say. "Jack's a little wound up. That's all. We just need to step outside to talk." You push Jack out the front door and follow. Turn to page 6. There's an illustration of this buzzkill, healthy eating carrot lady. We don't like her. You shut the door behind you so Juliana won't hear. She likes to make reports to your dad. really helpful. Let's go, Jack says. We have to move fast. How big did you say this snake is? Like 10 feet at least, he says. It's one of those pythons, like in the video, remember? You remember very well. Last week, an Everglades guide came to your school and gave you a talk about with scary videos about the enormous Burmese pythons that are overrunning the huge wetland. Many Florida folk, bought the baby snakes as pets. But when the creatures started growing really big, lots of people let their pets loose at the edge of the Everglades. Other pythons were liberated when hurricanes, which have been happening more and more often, wrecked roadside attractions like Florida Reptile World and Gators and Snakes. The Burmese python is not a Florida native. It's an invasive species, and it has no natural enemies here. Fully grown, the snake averages 10 to 15 feet long. By now, the expert said, there may be 250,000 of them in the Everglades. They eat almost everything. Your dog has been traveling with you and your sister from your mom's house to your dad's house since they got divorced 2 years ago. For your little sister especially, Zelda has been the one thing she could hold on to. Come on, Jack's almost frantic. Got a baseball bat? Sure, in the garage. Then go grab it. But you're thinking, a 10-foot snake? Your mind is working fast. I should call my dad at work, you say. He'll call the cops or animal rescue. Too slow, Jack says, shaking his head. But you could call animal rescue. They'll know what to do. Look under emergency numbers, front of the phone book. Your friend turns to go. That snake left a trail in the grass. I'm going to go chase it. We have to move. You imagine the muscular predator making for the swamp, Zelda squirming in its jaws. You should go after it with Jack, right? The Everglades guide said pythons aren't poisonous. They swallow their prey whole, but slowly. If you can catch the snake and bash it with the bat, maybe it will let Zelda go. But you've both been told to never, ever step into the watery expanse beyond your backyard. Right back there is the Everglades, home of the alligators, ghostly legends, and those monstrous snakes. What hope could two kids have of stopping a hungry 10-foot python? Maybe you'd better call animal rescue right now while Jack tracks the animal. What if Jack goes into the wetland alone? He's so wound up, he just might. You're torn and confused. Come on, Jack says. Decide. So our choices are, we grab the bat and go with Jack, or we call animal rescue while Jack tracks the snake. Now, as I mentioned before, I have no way to tell how many people are watching, or really if anyone's watching at all. Other than just the fact that a couple people subscribed on Twitch Prime, so I assume they're watching. But the dashboard thing is messed up and is showing me zero, showing me as offline on here, even though I know that I'm not offline, because if I go to our website address, which I'll do right now, then I can see the stream. So I don't know why that's happening. Yeah, so it shows up there, and it shows some people watching there on that screen. So I'm seeing about 7 on your end. Okay. Thanks, Slabanakas. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with Twitch's deal right now, but our choices are calling animal rescue and letting Jack take care of this, or do we grab the bat and go with Jack? I feel like the thirst for adventure path is probably the stronger of the two. I didn't pick up Snake Invasion not to crack a snake open over my knee like a icicle, bust it wide open, and peel its skin off like a sock. So yeah, let's go save. Zelda seems like a good girl. Let's go save, and our sister really loves her. Let's go save her. Let's grab the bat and go with Jack. Turn to page 9. Clutching the bat, you follow Jack as he tears around the side of the house. Where Zelda should be, the backyard is empty. Jack points at the grass. See? There's a faint, dry trail. It's a little wavy, like something very heavy slithered across the grass. I wonder what that was. You follow the track into your neighbor's yard, then across to another. All these backyards are short, with trees here and there. The faint trail turns down a little slope. At the water's edge, it ends. Turn to page 11. Hey, Sam. You two stand there, breathing hard. Your neighborhood's backyard shoreline is a little curvy, but everywhere the grass ends at the water. You've only lived in this neighborhood for a few months, but Jack remembers when this hadn't yet been filled in and this was all wetlands. As far as you can see, the Everglades are a widespread vista of shallow, sun-struck water and wavy grass. A few humps or clumps are out there, too, like tree-capped islands. The water's not deep at all, Jack tells you. There are a few channels, but that guide said the whole thing's a huge shallow river, incredibly wide. You nod. A river of grass, you say, remembering. We could try to look for Zelda, Jack says, taking a step towards the water. You shake your head. It's hopeless, you whisper. Hey, Nine. The man who gave the snake talk at your school has an airboat tour business out on an old highway not far from your neighborhood. He told your class that the pythons who escaped into the glades can grow to be 15, even 20 feet long. Every time we see them, there's 5 feet longer. They are naturally camouflaged, usually tan, with big, dark brown patches. The snake that took Zelda could be anywhere, slithering somewhere through the grass that seems to wave slightly in the breeze out there. Sawgrass, the guy called it. She's gone, you whisper. Jack winces. Those snakes eat bigger animals, too, he said. Remember what that guy said? How they kill their prey? What's that word? Constrict, you say. They are from the same family as a boa constrictor. They hold their prey tight with their front teeth, then wrap around and squeeze till you suffocate. Ugh, Jack says. What a way to die. You shudder. This is actually just a straight up modern, this is a Choose Your Own Nightmare, a Choose Your Own Adventure spinoff thing that came out in 2016. That's right. You have the awful job of telling your family. Jesus Christ. What? We decided to go grab the bat and go with him and then just decided to give up. If this ends, I will be a little bit mad that I wasted $7, but if it just ends with him walking to the water and giving up, I will get a good laugh out of that. That night you have the awful job of telling your family what happened. Your sister cries for hours, long after you've both gone to bed. You lie there listening to her. All you could do is wish you could have somehow saved the pet she loved so much. Well, we didn't even get a chance to. Okay, there's still more choices. What is this? In the morning, walking your sister to meet the school bus, you see a flyer tacked to a telephone pole. Missing beloved cat. Small with gray stripes. Reward for any information. There's a phone number. You save the number in your phone, and a chill runs up your spine. This kid's very fatalistic. When Jack joins you on the school bus, you tell him about the flyer. He gets really excited. We do know something. We could get the reward. For what, you say? Crushing someone's hope that their pet is alive? Let's go see that guide, Jack says. He knows about snakes and the Everglades. Maybe he can help us. You shake your head. Something weird's happening. 2 pets disappearing at the same time from the same neighborhood? That's not normal. Right, so we investigate, Jack says. First, we call the number on the flyer. We'll find out what they know. You still don't want to break a pet owner's heart by telling them what you know. You do want to solve the mystery before another pet gets taken. So if we visit the guide, turn to page 17. If we call about the missing cat, turn to 57. This took a weird turn. What do you guys think? Jack is horny for a reward. And, yeah. Cat call? Okay. Let's go break these people's hearts. This is a very funny book. When you call the number on the flyer after school, you tell the woman who answers that you're calling about her missing pet. Have you seen Velvet? Do you know where she is? Well, not exactly, you stutter. Please tell me. If what you say leads to Velvet coming back unharmed, the reward is $500. The number makes you jump. Then you realize what the woman just said. Did you say that she has come back to you unharmed? Or she has to come back to you unharmed? I mean, for the reward. Yes, of course unharmed, says the woman. You sigh. Well, I guess I can't really help you, you say. What? Why? The woman sounds suspicious. Did you hurt Velvet? I've got your number on caller ID. If you took our cat, I'm calling the police. No, please. It's nothing like that, you say quickly. We're just 2 kids who kind of hoped we could help, or we could find your cat to help you. But I really don't think we could. I'm sorry to bother you and all. I really hope you find your cat, you add before hanging up. Now you feel terrible. You're pretty sure that the woman will never find her cat, and you think you know why. Oh man, Jack says after you tell him. $500 down the drain. We should call animal rescue, you say. Maybe these 2 cases aren't the only ones, you know. Jack's already got his phone out doing a search. He reads out the phone number just as the school bus pulls up to your stop. Yeah, this is ludicrous. When the white animal rescue van pulls... What? Yeah, okay. When the white animal rescue van pulls up to your driveway, you rush to meet it. A young woman unfolds herself to step out. She has to be 6.5 feet tall. This woman's gonna step on this kid's balls. In a rush, you tell her what you think happened to Zelda. She says, looking around. Some small pets have begun disappearing from waterside properties like this. You mean from all over? I don't know about all over. I've just heard about a couple of pets disappearing from around here. This is a very big subdivision. Lots and lots of homes. And lots of pets, Jack adds. The tall woman nods. You ask, could it be snakes? Oh, that's highly unlikely, she says, waving the notion away. We suspect pet nappers. Why? Well, purebred pets are very valuable. Zelda wasn't purebred, you tell her. We got her from the pound, you idiot. The woman stiffens. She doesn't seem like she likes having her expertise questioned. We're really not a detective agency, she says kind of coldly. Sorry I can't help you more. She wishes you luck and then drives away. Whoa, Jack says. She wouldn't even listen to us. And here's this delightful Amazon that gave these kids super puberty really quick. So turn to page 62. I feel like this is also moving in a really unpredictable fashion. Precisely, Jay. You and Jack decide to create a blog, The Disappearing Pets of Gladeview Meadows. You also put up old-fashioned flyers around the neighborhood. Help us find the missing pets. You get a couple of anguished phone calls, plus several comments on the blog. Our little Jake was an outdoor cat, one comment says. Now we can't find him anywhere. We let Zippy out one morning to do his business just like every morning, another writes. But this time he didn't come back. He always comes back. No, it was a time jump. He gives you the number just as the bus gets to your stop, and then it's supposed to be like later you call the animal control. It's sloppy. Doug Wilhelm is not doing a great job on this bad boy. The local paper writes a very short article about your investigation. You get a few comments that are strange. Someone writes, "No one is safe. They'll come for our children." Another says, "This is why every household should have assault weapons." You two wonder if you've made a big mistake getting involved in this mystery. Then you get a phone call. I know this part of the Glades as well as anyone alive, says a young-sounding guy on the phone. My people have been here for centuries. I think you may have stumbled upon... I think you may have stumbled upon something big. You gulp. You do? It's very possible, he says. Humans have put the ecology of the Everglades out of balance, and now some weird things are happening. But I've been trying to tell people, but nobody will listen. I know the feeling, you say. But your blog is starting to get readers, he said. If you'll work with me, we could make people pay attention. How? Do you have a smartphone? Well, sure, you say. Meet me tomorrow morning at 9. Do you know of the boat access in Gladeview Acres? And there's Gladeview Meadows and Gladeview Acres? Yeah, that's our neighborhood. Meet me there. Bring your smartphone. There's 2 of us, you say. Even better, bring 2 phones. This is so good. On Saturday morning, just as you're about to head out, your phone rings again. Hello, says a woman. Her voice sounds familiar. I'm Delilah Consul from Animal Rescue. Oh, right, you say. You're the one who didn't believe us. Are you the person who called from this number several days ago, she asks. It was about a missing dog? Yeah, that was me. Did you find Zelda? No. But we just had an emergency call from a house on your street. Something about snakes in her pet enclosure. The woman sounds elderly, and she's quite upset. I'm on my way, but I can't get there for maybe 20 minutes. I remember you talking about snakes. Maybe you could run over and see what's happening? So this kid's now just been deputized. Well, just try to calm her down, Delilah says. Until I can get there. We depend on help from volunteers. Snakes in an enclosure? That sounds so bizarre it might be worth checking out. But you've just promised to meet a mystery man. Do we meet the man who wants to team up? Or do we check out Snake Emergency? How do we want to go about solving these snake crimes? guys. They're snake cops and snake crooks. Which side of the snake law do we land on? This is very funny. I think that guy might be just trying to steal our phone, given that he kept bringing it out. But so we got one vote for snakes in an enclosure. Who could even have thought? All right, let's do the snakes in an enclosure. Page 80. Yeah. You decide to check on Delilah's emergency. Jack thinks it sounds cool. You're not so... Jack. You're not so sure. The snakes are probably the lady's pets, you say. Could be, he agrees, but I can't stop thinking about that thing taking Zelda. What's the address for this place? It's just a few doors from your house. Jack says he'll beat you there, but you dash over and get there first. An older woman answers the door. Her hair is white and her eyes are wide with panic and fear. Are you animal rescue? She says. Not exactly. They'll be here in a few minutes, you say. They asked my friend and me to come over as volunteers because we're close. We've been working on the snake situation. Oh my gosh, then please come in, she says. I'm all alone here, except for my babies. Please open into like a room full of fetuses in a jar. Come on. Okay. The old woman leads you through her house to a backyard patio. The yard is half filled with a very large pet enclosure. It has wire sides and a top, and it's full of cats, plus 3 muscular, writhing Burmese pythons. One of the big brown spotted snakes has a small cat captured in its jaws. Ah, geez. The other 2 are slithering across the grass in there, while 4 or 5 frenzied cats, they're moving so quickly it's hard to count, leap and dash around the pen. As you watch, a small gray cat jumps high and clings its claws to the wired siding. A python lunges at the pet with terrifying power. The gray cat squeals and leaps away, barely eluding the predator's jaws. Please, my kitties, the elderly woman says. You have to save them. Just then, Jack comes skittering around the corner, staring open-mouthed at the pen and the wild activity inside. He drops his bike. Quickly, he unstraps his backpack. He pulls out 2 aluminum baseball bats that are sticking from the top. Let's get in there, he says. And here, look at these, this little illustration here, these cuties. I'm glad we chose this one because we're going to save some cats. Into the cage with 3 hungry pythons? Wait, the woman says. She dashes inside and returns with an air horn. I don't want you kids going inside the pen. Maybe this will drive them off, she says. But please, save my babies. Undaunted, Jack goes to the gate of the pet enclosure. He's about to pull it open. How would you even swing a bat in there, you ask. Just watch me, Jack says. The wire enclosure is big, but not quite high enough for the 2 of you to stand inside. You think fast. If Jack does open the gate, maybe you can scare the snakes away with a blast from the horn. Maybe. So our options are, we tell Jack to open the gate while we blast the horn, or we grab the bat to help Jack. So are we going to try to go into... I think that might lead to death, which is very funny. I would be okay if we go into the cage with a bat and die from snakes trying to save this woman's weird yard cats. I can get down with that. Otherwise, we can also just do the sound method, like the venom method of fighting off these snakes. What are your thoughts? Jackway seems too eager, but could be fun. Like we can give it a shot. Like I said, if we get killed by these snakes, I think this is a very, very funny story about kids who discussed ways to save their pets and then waited until eventually they just died to some snakes. He's armed to the teeth, but those snakes are going to kill him either way. Yeah, we're going to go in rather than do the horn, even though I think horn is smarter. Let's see what happens to us. Jack leaps into the cage. Bent at the waist, he swings his bat. It thuds against the muscular side of a python, but the snake doesn't react. Jack is flailing his bat wildly. If you follow him in, you could get smacked. The terrified cats burst through the open gate and run skittering across the lawn. That's good. Two pythons emerge to pursue them. Their thick, muscular bodies shove you aside as they push out the open gate. After them comes a third snake, its prey in its jaws. It's sliding towards the water. Not so fast, Jack shouts and sprints after it. You hear a vehicle pull into the driveway. Footsteps come fast around the house. Here's this nice little action shot here of Jack, the ultimate badass and true hero of this story, giving a snake what's for. Turn to page 90. I like this old woman in the background too, being like, "Yeah, get that fucking snake." Jackson runs alongside the python that has the squirming cat in his jaws. He lifts the bat high and brings it crashing down on the snake's head. "Come on!" he yells at you. You rush over and lift your bat just as Jack smashes down a second time. The snake is still moving. "What's happening here?" Owen's voice shouts. It's Delilah from Animal Rescue. "We told you," Jack shouts. "Come on!" He tells you. "Hit it!" And you do, smashing the bat down on the python's big, dumb skull. The creature just keeps moving towards the water, a bit slower, but not stopping. Jack keeps pace, slamming it again. So do you. The snake gathers itself and lunges towards the short bank of the back edge of the yard. Those huge predators are so powerful and their skulls are so thick that your bats couldn't stop this one. It slides away through the water, that poor cat now motionless in its jaws. Jesus Christ. Breathing hard and feeling incredibly frustrated, you two stand and watch the last of the splashing traces of the snake invasion settle on the water as the snake disappears. The other two snakes are already gone. Now Delilah is at your side. She's watching too. "Do you believe us now?" Jack says. He's really furious. "How many were there?" she asks. "3, you say. They got into the cage. We couldn't do anything to stop them." She lets out a long sigh. "This is an invasion," Jack tells her. He waves out at the Everglades. "What can you do to stop them?" Turn to page 59. Delilah stares out at the Everglades, then turns to you two. "We're going to need your help to spread the word," she says. "We need to alert everyone around here, and your blog can help. People are reading it." "What about people's pets?" you ask. "Can you protect them?" "We can tell everyone to keep their animals inside," she says. "But how can we stop those creatures? The state of Florida has organized big python hunts before. The snakes are so elusive and well camouflaged, even the best hunters can barely find any." "Well," you say, "I think they've eaten all the wild animals out there, so now they're coming for the pets." Soberly, Delilah nods. She does believe you now. Jack says, "Can anyone stop them?" "These snakes are an invasive species," says Delilah. "They don't belong in the Everglades, and now they're out of control." You glance up and down along the shoreline. You see backyard after backyard, home after home. In your neighborhood alone, hundreds of brand new houses have been built here. All of these people, like you and your family, have moved on to yet another filled-in piece of the once wild Everglades. Maybe that's true of us, too. Maybe that's true of us, too, you say. "Us who?" Jack says. "Us humans. Around here, maybe we're also an invasive species." The three of you stand there, staring across the water. Nobody can think of anything to say. The end? Yay! Oh, good one, Snake Invasion. Can you dare to throw your hands up at the snake invasion? Can you imagine? Oh, that's good. Oh, it makes me wish I had a really short choose your own adventure to fit in these like 10 minutes. I love it. Like, man is the actual invasive species. You can kind of see how they were maybe trying to hint at that a little bit earlier than that. But just there are many things that I find delightful about the snake invasion. One, the importance of that blog. Two, the way that ends with them just staring after being brought together by this thing and just utterly failing at every step of the way. That's very funny. So I can start Abominable Snowman and we can finish it next week if we don't, unless we get a really early ending. So this one is from the new thing, but it's actually R.A. Montgomery, who is a classic writer on this. So I'm expecting this to be maybe, I mean, who knows if this will be less funny but better written, or how this will work. We shall see. But yeah, I got about 10 minutes left before I have to go prepare for super secret recording session. So let's go ahead and get this one started. And yeah, the snake invasion, I think that was worth it. That's very funny. Okay. And this one also has these bewares and warnings in the beginning now do have information that kind of preps you a little bit. So the first part's the same, that you have to use some of your intelligence and some of your talents, and that you can go back any time to make another choice. I've thought about that precisely, Jay. I might if I run out of stuff. The issue is that I have a billion fighting fantasies, so I won't run out of stuff. And I like doing fighting fantasies, but I need to find a better way to automate the battle systems. I think those drag down the pace. I need to find a way that just will do all of the dice rolls and just tell me the end results in one click. I'm sure such things exist, but I need to look for those. And then I want to do some more fighting fantasies, and then maybe Lone Wolf. I was planning to do the Lone Wolf role-playing game this week before I spotted these in the bookstore. So I thought about that. I may do that at some point, but I've got a lot of stuff I want to get through first, different kinds of game books. Because I do like the idea. This is not only just funny and then also weird stories, but I also like the idea of exploring these game book mechanics. So just getting a little bit of a start on the Abominable Snowman here. You and your best friend Carlos have traveled to Nepal in search of the fabled Yeti or Abominable Snowman. Last year, while the two of you were mountain climbing in South America, a guide told you about the legendary creature, and you haven't stopped thinking about the Yeti since. Carlos arrived and went straight into the mountains when a Yeti sighting was reported. He hasn't been heard of in 3 days. A late monsoon storm has moved in, and the mountains are almost impassable. You know Carlos will depend on you to do the right thing. But what is it? You are a mountain climber. 3 years ago, you spent the summer at a climbing school in the mountains of Colorado. Your instructor said that you had natural skills as a climber. You made rapid progress, and by the end of the summer, you were leading difficult rock and ice climbs. That summer, you became close friends with a boy named Carlos. The two of you made a good climbing team. Last year, you and he were chosen to join an international team. The expedition made it to the top of 2 unclimbed peaks in South America. One night on that expedition, the group was seated around a cook tent at the base camp. The expedition leader, Franz, told stories of climbing the Himalayas, the highest mountains in the world. Oh, okay. A nice little educational thing of the different peaks of the Himalayas here. I knew I was going to have that because it says turn to page 2, then to page 4, so it actually tells you to keep going. The Himalayas form a great natural wall between India and China, with Nepal tucked amid the peaks. Everest, K2, and the Annapurna are the best-known mountains in the Himalayas. These and many other peaks have been climbed. Still, others lie in remote areas where few humans have gone. There, said Franz, in the high valleys beneath the snowfields lives the Yeti, sometimes called the Abominable Snowman. The Yeti is said to be a huge beast, Franz tells you, perhaps a cross between a gorilla and a human. People cannot agree on what it is. Is the Yeti dangerous? Carlos asks. Franz shrugged. Some say it is. Other people say the Yeti is very gentle. Have you ever seen one? You inquire. No, almost no one has. The best proof of the Yeti's existence is a set of very large footprints discovered in the 1950s by a British expedition. No one has ever photographed one that I have heard, Franz answers, but the stories persist. You and Carlos decided then and there to find the Yeti. When you returned from South America, the two of you raised money from the International Foundation for Research into Strange Phenomena. Your goal, proof positive that the Yeti exists. You will find and photograph the Yeti. This is what brings you to Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal. Your problems, though, have already begun. 2 days ago, Carlos left by helicopter to... Who? Are these kids? Still? Carlos left by helicopter to look over the terrain near Mount Everest. The helicopter returned without him. The pilot told you that Carlos decided to stay up at the Everest base camp to check out a report that a Yeti had been seen. He had a radio transmitter, but you received no word from him. The weather turned bad, and radio communication was interrupted. You have an appointment to speak with R.N. Runel, the director of expeditions and mountain research, and an authority on the Yeti. He knows of your plans. You need his help with official permits for an expedition, and you'll also have good advice and information. But what about Carlos? So do we cancel our meeting with Runel and search for Carlos, or do we feel like Carlos is probably okay and go ahead and meet with Runel? So do we keep our eyes on the Yeti-shaped prize, or does friendship be the true lesson learned from ye? What are your thoughts? I mean, Carlos does seem pretty cool, I gotta admit. Yeti it up. Yeah, let's keep our eyes on the Yeti prize. Carlos is fine. I think that he chartered a helicopter. I think he's probably okay. Turn to page 8. And also, we get to meet with a scientist. You walk down a street bordered by tall pines. They are green-blue, and the branches and needles are very fine and delicate. Hanging from the upper branches are what look like huge tear-shaped blackish-brown fruit. You stop and look up, wondering what they are. Then one moves, spreads its giant wings, and flaps off. They're bats, the largest bats you've ever seen. You reach the foreign ministry, and you are shown to a waiting room. You wait a few minutes, and then are ushered in to meet R.N. Carlos is long gone. R.N. Runel, which I'm sure that's like a pun or something about mountains or Yetis, but I don't know what it is. R.L. Runel, Director of Expeditions and Mountain Research for the Nepalese government. Welcome to our country. We wish you success, but I have some bad news. The expedition you have proposed could be very dangerous. You look at him, not knowing what to expect. Recently, a large expedition set out without telling us that they were going after the Yeti, says Runel. They used guns and traps and tried to kill one of them. The Yeti are angry. Mr. Runel, we just want to find a Yeti. We have no intention of ever hurting a Yeti. I know that. We've checked up on you. It is a shame about the others. I must advise against going into Yeti territory. I could arrange a trip for you to the Terai region, out of the mountains, in the jungle area. You could photograph and study the tigers. They're famous and also dangerous. Later, perhaps, you can conduct the expedition you're heading. If you decide to go ahead with the expedition for the Yeti, turn to 16. If you decide to postpone the expedition and let the Yeti calm down and go to try and search tigers, turn to 19. And to tempt us, here's some pictures of some tigers. I'm actually going to leave it at that choice for next time because I think this is a funny choice. And these things are moving very fast. So we're going to leave it there. I also I need to use the bathroom before we record as well. So that's just a little bit of a teaser for Abominable Snowman. We'll be getting into that next week. And yeah, thanks to everybody for joining me on the snake invasion, aka human invasion. Spend this week thinking about whether we should go find the Yeti, even though he might be kind of pissed, or we want to wait a little while and let him calm down while going and hanging out with some dangerous tigers. And we can see if we can figure out if we're a kid or not in this, because I have no idea. All right. I will talk to you guys next week. Thanks and bye.